Hey guys. Hey. Checking in with you guys. Let you know baby girl and I are okay. Come on in here. I'll wait till y'all get in the room. I'm tired this morning. No rest. I'm so exhausted, but I'm checking in nonetheless to let you guys know I'm okay. Or else maybe it'll be a recording. Hey Margie, how are you, my love? I guess the notifications are not going out. I'm not sure, but I'm exhausted today. I'm just checking in to let you guys know I'm okay, me and baby girl, because I got so many messages, so many emails. Thank you so much. It was tough. That first night was tough. I'm exhausted. Didn't really get to sleep. And so, did some things that I had to do this morning, but I'm just out of it. I'm more than likely not going to stay here long. I just wanted to let you guys know we were okay. Your body, especially as you get older, your body just needs rest. So you know what it is. Hey guys, let me give a shout out. I'm not even sure if my mods are up yet. I sent out a couple of messages, but they may be asleep, different time zones and all that stuff. So, but I want to give a shout out to Margie, Amazing Music, Nikki, Tink, M. Zambrano. Hey, I haven't seen your name in a minute. K Lig, Monique Levette, Faye Crossling, Allison Austin. I'm trying to scroll. It's not scroll. Okay. Um, Lisa Bruno. It was a tough night. Trying to just sit up. There's only been so much YouTube you can watch. I'm sure you guys know that. I mean, after a while, it starts to get redundant. So I'm exhausted, but we're okay. It was a tough night for baby girl. She had a tough go at it. Slept in the room with me. I mean, teenage girls ain't really trying to sleep in their mama's room, so I don't have to tell y'all. But she just didn't feel safe. She didn't feel like her normal level of safety. And so she slept in the room with me. Well, she slept in the room with me. I dozed off a few times, but I really couldn't sleep, so I was up watching YouTube. Um, Simply Natural Bell. Sunset Salty Sage. I just want to let you guys know we were okay. Dishing tea with D. Thank you so much, guys. I love you guys. I appreciate the support. I'm not going to front. Desert Druzy. I'm not going to front. I'm tired. Like, I don't mean just exhausted from lack of sleep. I mean tired of all of this. It's tiring. And I just want my peace restored. My regular. I ain't got no lashes on or nothing, y'all. I just wasn't in the mood for it. Couldn't find lash glue. I don't know where, Nirvana has a whole makeup setup, but I don't know where her lash glue was. I'm trying to look for things. She's a finicky type of young lady. She likes her things in order. So I wasn't trying to really mess up her stuff or dig through her organization. Everything is all lined up, all neat and stuff. But I didn't see lash glue. So, I brought my lashes with me, but they right here on the side. Because I just was like, I can't. I'm tired. Literally and figuratively. It is just, it gets cumbersome. I made this coffee. Whole cup still here. It's cold. I just, I don't even know what to say really. I'm just drained. Yeah, it's mentally and spiritually draining. Absolutely. You hit it on the head. You guys know what to do. When you come in, like the video, share it. My steam is gone right today. Um, Share it with a friend. When you come in, take off your shoes, put them by the door, grab a pair of fuzzy socks out of the basket, and get on the couch and get comfortable. Um, the one thing I know is when somebody violates your house, you're never the same again. I've always enjoyed extreme comfort. Like I live on a small street on a cul-de-sac, not that many houses, 6. I'm tired. This has always been my sanctuary because I know who's coming and going. I know who's who. I know the rhythm of my neighborhood, at least my block and right, the corresponding block right there. I know the rhythm and it's tiring. And you just it's sometimes here's the beauty about how God makes us appreciate things. Sometimes you really don't appreciate a thing. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. When you have you're not only when you have children, especially sons, but when your son's friends know something happened, they're all gonna check on you. So that's what that is. But yeah, it wasn't a nice experience. I mean, like what was I saying before? When how God lets you, or when you really come to value, like you may value the things in your life, but you truly value. Sometimes you truly value things once you've lost it. You know, the peace that I had was just peace. I didn't have to think about it. It was peace on auto drive. Until something happens or somebody does something to interrupt that peace, and then you long for it. I long for just being able to get in my bed and just lay back and relax. And then Nirvana's bedroom is on one side of the house and my bedroom's on the other side of the house. I love a sense of peace that where I could just lay down and not worry. Now her bedroom is closer to the staircase than mine is, so how am I going to sleep knowing that if anybody comes in here again, they have access to her first? Like there's no way. So a simple thing like peace, like peace of mind. Sometimes we don't value it. Maybe that's what the bigger part of this is. What is it that we have in our life that we are not valuing as we should? Are you valuing your home? There's a lot of, houseless people. Are you valuing your family, your peace? Are you valuing your safety? Are you valuing the quality and integrity of the locks on your doors? Are you valuing your peace and your anonymity? That you are just living your regular life and going and coming back and not on the radar of somebody and their malicious intent. Even simple things like that, you have no idea. You have no idea how important simple things like that are. And it's just like, that's what I pray for, my peace to be restored. Like, I've always kept Lottie with me, but when I was first in my room and I went to Nirvana's room, I was like, hey, come on, come in mommy's room. And she was like, okay, mommy, I'm just going to sit in my room for a little while I'm on the phone with my best friend. So she was on the phone with her friend. I get it. You don't want to sit in front of your mother and talk to your best friend. But then I was holding up, I was watching I Am QHEF and Dre OG that I always tell you guys to watch. And I didn't even realize when I dozed off. And the saddest thing is, normally, me and Nirvana have an amazing relationship. She'll come and be like, mommy, I want to sleep in mommy's bed. And she'll come and jump on my bed. And I jumped up and I kind of like, oh my God, I felt like I betrayed my family, my house. And I jumped up and I was like, let me go tell Nirvana she got to come in my room now. And I jump up to go tell her to come in my room. Nirvana's sleeping on the floor in my room. Lottie was on the next side of my bed and she didn't want to touch her. And she probably didn't want to wake me up. So she slept on the floor. Like, Lottie was on my bed, so Nirvana slept on the floor. It's just and it's really been, excuse me, just like I'm concerned. I'm gonna have to let her talk to a therapist or something because I don't even know if I really told y'all. I probably didn't. I think I might have mentioned it once. A few months ago, she was in a car accident. The third time I let her take a Uber by herself. She was like, I'm a senior. I'm not a baby mommy. Let me just take the Uber home from work. And I was just like, normally I'm Johnny on the spot. I'm there. She's like, I can take it. I'm big. And I just had this weird feeling. The lights kept flashing in my house that day. And I had a weird feeling. I was like, you sure? I was like, at least let your brother pick you up. She was like, he was like, one of his employees didn't come in. So he had to go and be in place until a relief could come in. And he was like, y'all hear that loud thing again? Sound like somebody's upstairs, right? And she asked her brother how long it would take for him to leave and come and get her because she had already gotten off. She got off a little early. And he was like, it's just going to be like a half hour or so. And she was like, I'm tired. I just want to really go home. And he tried to get her to take the Uber to his office and that he would then drive her home. And she was like, well, she looked at the distance between his office and the Uber and our house and the Uber. And she was like, well, it's 1 minute apart. I might as well go home. I could just be home in 1 extra minute. And so she just took the Uber and she never made it home. The Uber was on the phone. It was raining. I'm on the phone with her. He's in his car. They're not even supposed to be on the phone. When the ambulance and the police got there, they said His call said he had been on for 3 hours. Who sits on the phone for 3 hours while you're working? Only people I really know that do that, like you in an argument, if you're on the phone with somebody for 3 hours, really, while you're working. Hey, how you doing, Kim? Shout out to Celie for becoming a member of the family. Welcome to the family, my dear. Your locked is she was not she was a little under the weather for a while, so she's not here right now. But I'm sure as soon as she gets up and sees that we're on, she'll jump on if we're still on. Shout out to everybody. Hi guys, and not only did he, it was raining, and she literally said, "Can you slow down?" It was nighttime. This sucker still kept driving at the pace. Ended up all of a sudden I just started hearing her screaming bloody murder while I was on the phone, and I'm thinking, my first thought was that he's trying to touch her or assault her, and I started screaming like she was screaming, "Mommy!" I don't know how she got from talking to me to tapping her brother into the call that fast, but next thing I know, my son was on the phone, but he's always tracking us. And we have this thing that where we track each other, and it has a crash notification, and he's on the phone and he's running from his office. And I'm like, oh my God. He's like, I'm coming, phone, I'm coming. It said he was like 17 minutes away from her. He got there in like 8. By the grace of God, the ambulance had just arrived, and the cops to stop him from eating this guy's head. He said he's like, oh my God, Vanna. He runs to his sister. She's inconsolable. They're trying to calm her down. She has a brace on her neck. He keeps screaming, oh my God, my insurance is going to go up. My son goes off like, mother, you almost killed my sister. What? And then my son starts walking around the guy's vehicle. It's all crashed and damaged. The guy's tires were bald. I'm talking like smooth like my cheek. I don't mean a little tread here and a little, I mean bald. How? It wasn't even an old vehicle. I don't get it. Almost took my baby's life. Let me tell you something. Those of you who know she's a beauty queen. She has 4 titles. She's a beauty contestant. A pageant holder, title holder. She's I don't want to say all her titles here because that's how stalkers be watching you. But she just finished in the semifinals of Miss Georgia Teen USA. So she's very glam. Now she's brilliant. She's 4.0. She's in AP and all honors and AP classes. She's 4.0, but she's glam. Let me tell you something. That girl got home. When we finally got home from the hospital the next day, she got inside the house. She was so sore. She went and she was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom, Mommy. She went in the bathroom. I heard her in the shower. She came back out. She done took that wig off, washed her hair. She had regular, Mommy, can you braid my hair? I didn't see this child for 2 months with, they wear their little wigs and stuff and lace fronts and all that. She has a head full of beautiful hair, but it's just that glam look. And she just wanted to be a little girl. When I tell you, she was like, can you braid my hair, Mommy? I used to have beauty salons. I always be like, hey girl, you want me to help you with your hair? She's like, thank you, girl, I got it. I'll be like, excuse me, your mama's the track master, you know your mama got some skills. She'd be like, thank you, Mommy, I appreciate you so much, but I got it. That girl wanted to sit down and let me do her hair and braid her hair into little braids like when she was a kid. And let me tell you something about her. One of Nirvana's pet peeves is having, when your mother greases your hair and she's, washed your hair, blowing your hair out, and she greases your hair. And if Nirvana gets grease on her forehead, she is livid. She doesn't like that textural feeling of grease too far on her forehead and all that. That girl sat quiet. She didn't say a thing. And I was trying my best not to get grease on her forehead. But I was just going through greasing her scalp, braiding her hair, and she was like a little baby. She did not want it was July. So in July, you have an accident. You finally getting back into the swing of things. For the rest of the summer, Nirvana didn't want to go anywhere. She ended up having to stop working, which she loved her job, absolutely loved her job. Was they opened the store. She was one of the first employees at that job when the store opened. She loved her job. She became a house girl again. Everything was mommy, mommy. Where you going, mommy? I'm going with you. Or, in teenagers, you'd be like, come on, you want to go with me? I'm going to such a, I'm good. After that, mm-mm. I mean, she literally, I could, as much as she's a mature, independent young woman, I could see the regression. I saw that same regression last night. I don't like it. I don't want this young lady having to deal with all of this trauma. And I said it again to her yesterday. I said, you know, after you guys were like, throw everything out, I literally said to her, listen, we have to throw everything out. So I'm going to stop at the supermarket. We're going to get some things. And she was like, throw everything out. Why? Why? And when I explained to her, and she's like, oh, wow, I didn't even think of that. I could see the regression again. And she was just like, mommy, can we get this? And my child is about to leave for college. She sounded like her little sixth grade self. I, I don't like that for her. She's so mature and independent, and it just feels like trauma after trauma is too much. It's too much. And then she said, you think I'm ready to go to college, mommy? I don't know. I think I'm going to need you. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't want these things to strip my child. Like, I want her to live. I don't want her to regress to a point where she doesn't want to leave, because that happens to people. And I don't like it. I don't like it. I feel like something was taken from her. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Sometimes you still just need your mommy. You're right. You're right. Listen, I need my kids. I ain't gonna front. This whole, I have some girlfriends that's like, oh girl, you done. We free. You about to, while my first set of kids, I was free. Well, not free, because here's the thing. I'm not that kind of mom that's like, oh, free. I don't have to take care of kids no more. I'm not her. I am the greatest blessing to my life, the greatest gift I ever received was the ability to mother. I don't know what I would do without being a mother. I'm not chasing empty nest syndrome. I fear it. I don't want to use the word fear. I don't live in fear. I am not a fan of it. Like, I'm like, oh God, I got to get a dog or something. What am I going to do with all of this free time? I love the sound of my daughter always has her friends over, and you could just hear laughing and giggling in the background and all. I love that. I usually have my granddaughter, but now I know my son, with this going on, I know I'm gonna have to go over there. My son not gonna feel comfortable letting my daughter come until we know what this is about and we get this all straightened out. I know he not. My granddaughter has her own room here. She come over, she get in her room, she be like, hey grandma, hi grandma baby. She's up in her room having her ball. She has everything you could want in that room. I could have been a selfish grandma and I could have been a she shed room or something, but I'm not interested in that. Like, I could build a she shed out back. I want my grandbaby to have her space. I don't want anybody. I'm not the type of person that I don't like people to tell kids, sit down, don't touch this, be quiet. I don't like all of that. I want kids to be kids. I love hearing laughter, noise, TV shows. I know since my kids were small, every kid show that was out, I know every song. The theme song, I know all the characters. I can tell you episodes by heart to this day. I knew plot lines. I knew from what generation to the next generation they replicated storylines. I'm talking back down to Degrassi when Drake was Jimmy in the wheelchair. I know all of the kids' shows. I can sing them to this day. I know. My girlfriends are just like, child, I don't know what planet you from. We ain't doing all that. I will hang out with the girls and let's get in the living room and watch movies, talk about subject matter. Let's get popcorn, let's get snacks, let's get fuzzy socks. Everybody camp out. I love that. I love that. I do it with my nieces and nephews. I do it with everybody. The kids. In fact, when my family goes on vacation, we have timeshares. So it'll be like the whole family, and we got like 5 and 6 different suites. Everybody has their own thing. All of the kids come to my suite. All of the kids hang out with me. We go on adventures. I'll take them. The adults will be cooking or, because we'll have full suites. They'll be cooking or planning different things or having everybody in a room and I'm like, come on, y'all, let's jump in the car. Everybody get your stuff. I'll find an amusement park and take all the kids to the amusement park for self. I ain't never lost a kid, nothing. The kids all just camp out in my room. I'm not telling them, shut up, sit down. Why are you making so much noise? Why y'all talk so loud? I don't believe in that. I believe kids should be kids. We are raising, people say, oh, we're raising kids. We're not raising kids. We are raising adults. Yes, my dear, even Barney, back when Selena Gomez used to be on Barney. Yes. I love children. And I just love the process of mothering. I love watching children be in their element, whatever age group they're in. I love that. So, and here's the thing. Kids get into trouble. Kids do things. I made a policy when I first got pregnant. I said, how am I going to do this thing? I didn't particularly agree with all of the things that parents, all the tools and tactics they use. I didn't agree. I don't like being hit. I can't stand it. So I made a conscious decision. I evaluated every aspect of mothering or parenting, and I evaluated how I would use it in comparison to how it was used with me, what tactics were used. I don't hit children. I'll tell you, my oldest is 35. He'll be 36 this year. I do not beat children. I don't hit children. I don't like it. I didn't like being hit myself. I feel like they overdid it. Plus, I'm Caribbean, and then we Black. It was just a whole thing. I don't like it. So I don't do it. Trust me, I got cussed out, called everything but a child of God by everybody I know. And them same, my girlfriends, family members, everybody. But guess what? Those same people that all judge me, call me and be like, can you call your daughter, your son, and tell them to speak to my child? My kids got friends. Their friends' parents be like, I want you to be more like Nirvana, which I don't advocate parents doing that either, because that can alienate a kid. That'll really make a kid hate their friend or whatever. I don't think that's good. I think another way to say it is, hey, I haven't seen you hang out with blah, blah, blah for a while. Why don't you, let's do something so we can plan for you guys to hang out some more, especially if you believe that somebody's a good, hold on. Sorry, guys. Now that's my son calling to check up on me. That's what I'm talking about, being a good mother and mothering and having a good relationship with your kids. These are my adult children and their friends calling to check up on me. and they all call me mommy. I'm just that. I love being a mother. I did something. So if I evaluated the tactic that was used to raise me and my siblings, and I felt like it wasn't in line with what I considered to be a good tactic. I felt like maybe it was abusive, or it was against my spirit. It didn't resonate with my spirit. I eliminated it. If there were things that I thought was better, I implored those things. And I created something called a family forum. Every Thursday we had a family forum. The, the prerequisite and the rule for family forum was no repercussions. Whatever it is, laid on the table. No judgments, no repercussions. Like you guys have that thing now on social media. We listen, we don't judge. I was doing that back in the days when my kids were single digit numbers. They're in their 30s. They're three double digits, third generation, third decade. I was doing this when they were single digits. No repercussions. And I have, because the first people, if we want to teach kids that adults are trustworthy and safe, and in order for them to trust us, we trust them, and we tell them what our boundaries, what we tolerate, what we don't tolerate, what our standard is for the household and for life. And we set those benchmarks down, and we say, I'm disappointed when you do this. Instead of telling your kid, you stupid, you this. Now I say, I'm disappointed. If I tell my kids I'm disappointed, oh my goodness, my kids will go, they go they go to another. Let me tell you how dope my sons were. And I kept this line of, I included them in everything. I say, you know what? I feel like I want to change the living room. I don't know, something about, I just want to change the color. So we went to this Home Depot. We're looking at paints. I'm like, what y'all think about this color? What y'all think about that color? And they would, looking at this, looking at that. And I bought the paints and everything, but then I was busy and I didn't have time to do it. My kids, I worked so hard. I was in my salon working. My kids understand my grind so much. I remember I told you my husband was sick. There was a time we were separated, and he was living with his family because he was sick, and we were going through, and it was just me and the kids, and they wanted to go skating, and they knew I had been working hard and grinding, and I was probably exhausted, and I was in the shop for long hours. They wanted to go skating. I came home. Do you know these suckers repainted the living room? My kids they repainted the living room. They rearranged it. I'm talking painted flawlessly, no streaks. Everybody wants to call me while I'm live. I'm so popular today. Um, yeah. So I just implored different tactics, and um, my kids painted the entire living room. I'm talking flawless. Like the trim was clean, flawlessly. And they were like probably 11. One was maybe my oldest son was like about 13 or 12. They're 3 years apart. So it was like 10 and 13, so that they could go roller skating. Now, some kids won't wash the dishes. I'm talking house was clean, wiped out. Listen, my sons, Nirvana tries to avoid doing a bunch of housework by not moving. She don't want to touch stuff. She don't want to engage in, because she like, if I don't touch it, I ain't gotta clean it. And she's like an only child, so she's, my sons, boy, my sons used to do some chores. Oh, thank you, dishing with the D. Thank you so much. She said, Natanya's voice is soothing. It calms my whole household down. That is, thank you. What a compliment. Thank you so much, my love. Uh, I think I'm gonna do my son was telling me that I needed to do my audiobook for my book. That's right, guys. Locked is not here to prompt you guys, but remember, I have a children's book called Nirvana Socks, The Nirvana Chronicles. You can find it on Amazon. I also have the book that I wrote, A Shot in the Dark. It's a page turner. And actually, you know what? When I come back on later, I think we are going to start our book club, and that will be the first book, guys. A Shot in the Dark. So you guys can grab yourself a copy. We're gonna discuss the book club. The first date, well, the first book will be A Shot in the Dark, and then we can all read that together and discuss it. We'll set up the dates for everything. But I don't ever want my children to feel afraid of me. Sassy Cassie said, the only time my daughter was afraid of me is if she woke me up, LOL. And I would say, wake me up if you need something. She said, nope, I'll call you in the same house. That's hilarious. Um, I that is hilarious. That you must be a deep sleeper or cranky when you wake up. Um, but yeah, I don't have any horror stories of mothering. Like, not by no means were they perfect, darling. The same set of circumstances. Now, here's the beauty of it. We had family forums, and so kids get into childhood things. That's just what they are. These are stages of development. They have to go through things so they can learn, so they can vet how they will deal with things in the real world when they grow up. And this is how they get into entanglements. It's a process by which God teaches them people that are desirable, people that are less desirable, people that resonate with their own spirit. They get to self-identify their own spirit by, okay, I think that kid is cool. I like hanging out with him, but I get in trouble all the time when I'm with this kid. So I'm not going to hang out with him. He's not my cup of tea. Or my parents don't particularly care for him. So it's too much trouble being bothered with him. It's those formative years and experiences that help children become adults, because we're not raising kids. We are raising adults. They are simply passing through childhood. They're passing through childhood. We are raising adults, and how you treat your kid will determine who they'll be as an adult. If you're too authoritarian and you're always barking down your kids, they're going to be coy and shy and timid. And trust me, you ever seen a timid adult, especially a timid man, baby? You are guaranteeing that your son is going to be single for a long time. And a timid woman, you know that's not a good thing, because it makes her susceptible to all types of malarkey and all types of narcissism and abuse. He said, my son is 32. He never ever raised his hand to me. He better not. I don't beat kids, but now for that, I take your ankles off you. I ain't going to deal with. No, I mean, I think a kid should automatically know that that should never be a thing. Listen, I think I told you guys before, my oldest son, when he was 2 years and 9 months old, I was at my mom's house. I was a young mom. He was all dressed up. I didn't have a change of clothes, all that. He wanted to go outside and play with the older kids on the block. They were riding bikes. They were skateboarding. They were roller skating. And we said no, because, you're 3. Everybody knew him, but we didn't want him to get hurt. These were bigger kids. And it just so happens that he opened the chain link fence and the gate swings out. So when he swung the gate out, where he opened the fence, it swung out and a boy crashed into him. Like I said, they were out there skating, riding bikes, skateboarding, and the skateboard crushed his fingers and he cried. And I said, oh, we ran out. I grabbed him, and he came in. And I never did baby talk to my kids. Like, I told you I was an adult when I was a child. So by the time I got to motherhood age, while I was young in my early 20s, I was like an old woman spirit wise and wisdom wise. I just didn't do baby talk. Baby talk sounds foolish to me. I don't know. I just don't like it. And so I said to him, "Are you okay?" I checked out his hand, got something for his hand. You know, I could see where his fingers were kind of smushed, and I got a cold compress and everything. And I put him to sit down in the living room, in my mother's living room. And I said, "Do you understand what I said? Don't you know children must obey their parents? Do you understand what I'm saying?" He looked at me and he had these puppy dog eyes. Like, I said, "What does that mean to you?" And he looked at me and said, Ephesians 6:1. 2 years and 9 months. Now, my grandmother used to take him to church, but this was God. I don't care how much church your children go to and how much Sunday school. 2 years and 9 months for them to say Ephesians 6:1, when you said children must obey parents, and you say, "What does that mean to you?" And they look at you and say Ephesians 6:1, baby, ain't no Sunday school in the world that good. That's God speaking out of the mouths of babes. And he said Ephesians 6:1, and I was like, huh? And my mother's like, what? And I said, I'm telling him children must obey their parents. I can visualize it. I can see myself right now in my mother's living room, in my house. And I said, children must obey their parents. And he said Ephesians 6:1. And my mother said, go get the Bible. I didn't even remember Ephesians was a book in the Bible. Okay. I go get the Bible, and it says, children, honor thy mother and father. I look at him. I said, Father God, who is it that you think I am that you put this amazing child in my womb? I got down and I kissed his feet. I bowed down to him. Because how? 2 years and 9 months, I bowed down. I said, Father God, I don't know who. I turned around and I asked my mother, I said, do you think Martin Luther King's parents knew that he was going to be that when he was a little kid? Like, you think that they could see it? My mother was like, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm sure there was something. I just was in awe of this child. And then my middle child, by the time he came along, he was 3. Something happened, and I always say he had the gimme gots. You know, gimme, I want it. And I said, don't you understand you have to sacrifice? You can't have everything. You cannot have everything. Mommy makes sure that you have all types of stuff, but you cannot have everything whenever you want it. I said, do you understand? Do you know what I'm saying? This boy looked at me. He was on this little scooter. He always liked automotive things, anything that had wheels and could. He was on one of those. It was like that Fisher Price little scooty bike kind of thing. Not quite a bike, but a little scooter thing he could sit on and drag his feet. And it was those primary colors, like it was a royal blue and orange. I mean, royal blue and yellow and red. It was, you guys, anybody who has a boy child recognizes that actual toy. And he literally looked up at me and said, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, so whosoever shall believe in him shall not perish, have everlasting life. I said, because baby, that's the epitome of sacrifice. You sacrifice your child for the greater good of humanity. This kid was 3. And he didn't just say the scripture, the name of the scripture. He said the actual scripture. Now, I knew that was God and Sunday school, but I said, woo. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Listen, our kid, out of the mouths of babes, honey, our kids will tell. And God sends us messages. God sends us messages through our children. We just have to hear them. Not only through our children. God is going to send us messages through all types of people. And here's why. He's going to send them to people that you can receive the messages from. The people who have your undivided, did you get them? The speaking buttons that you press, beep, beep? No. I just always talk to them. Like I used to when I was pregnant with my oldest son, I used to put headphones, old school, regular headphones on my belly and play music all the time. When I tell you he is so musically gifted, he plays so many instruments. He was in the marching band. He actually plays so well. He became the drum major. He was in BET, had this, was it BET or one of these? VH1. They had those. If you Google VH1 marching band, hip hop honors marching band commercials, the drum major in the marching band, that's my son. Um, these were like 2000s. That's my son. He was in the marching band. He was in the marching band here in high school in New York, and then he was in the marching band in college. He plays so much. He got band scholarships, and I mean, he got academic scholarships and band scholarships, and it saved me quite a bit. He's extremely talented, and that's just from. I mean, we come from a musical family, but I played a lot of music for my belly, not just regular R&B or whatever. I played a lot of Mozart. I played a lot of classical music, everything, because I just wanted him to have this wide, well-versed music can permeate your cerebral cortex without your permission. It's the only thing that can enter your brain without your consent or permission is music. And once you feed, I played a lot of uh, jazz because my dad was a jazz musician. My favorite jazz is Dave Brubeck, Take Five. Look it up. If you're ever going through a tough time, I have some pieces of music and compositions that really saved me. And sometimes they don't always have to be music compositions with words. Sometimes instrumentals um, give you exactly what you need. Miles Davis, My Kind of Blue. I played a lot of jazz, and it saved me. That whole Dave Brubeck Take Five album, amazing, absolutely, unequivocally amazing. But you know, oh, she said, "Be right back, chat. Lunchtime for my fur babies." That's so cute. I need another fur baby. I really, yeah, I don't talk baby talk to kids because kids are emulating us. And so if we then respond to them emulating them, we confuse them. They're not clear on what we're saying because it sounds cute and it makes the adult feel like, oh, I'm connecting with my baby. But no, they are emulating us. So if you go back and talk, they like, wait, hold on now. I used to understand some of the words you said, but now I don't have a clue. So we have to be mindful not to confuse our children. And I mean, ultimately people are going to do what they want to do, but it's probably not the wisest. It does more, it delays the children more than it helps them. I do need a dog. I need another dog, Crystal. My dog, unfortunately, my husband had a massive heart attack, and 2 days later, my dog passed away. And I'm just happy that they're together because, you know, that was his boy. He used to sneak him all kinds of food that I said he couldn't have and all kind of stuff. But that was they loved each other. We all loved them, but they really had a tight bond. And thank you, I appreciate it. I appreciate the love and light, guys. You guys are so amazing. Yeah, I don't do baby talk. I think it's important to communicate with our children in a clear, concise, succinct manner, and they will respond in kind. I think when we start to do the delaying your baby's progress, they're already those years from birth to 6 is when they are in almost like a downloading state, and they are absorbing everything. They are absorbing everything. And when you send mixed messages, you delay. By the time that you're 6, psychology says you have concrete permanence. When you're 6, who you are as a 6-year-old child is who you're going to be as an adult. That's conventional wisdom and studies. Who you are by the time you're 6. So whatever you put in from birth to 6 into that child, that is who they're going to be when they're 50 and 30 and 25. So if you put a bunch of foolishness, baby talk, silliness, and all kinds of stuff, and mothering was such that, to me, in order to be an effective parent, you literally have to, if you punish your child, you have to punish yourself. You cannot punish your child, but y'all at the mall. I see my girlfriend. What's wrong? Why her face so twisted up? Oh, she on punishment. You got all this stimuli. You got pretty things in stores. The kid is walking into stores seeing things that they like and want. They're humans. And they're in their formative stages. So they don't have the mental acuity and the maturity to understand, look at all this stuff. I see her buying stuff, but I can't get anything. That is torture techniques. If your child is on punishment, they cannot go to the mall with you. And you can't go to the mall. You got to stay home and oversee the punishment. No stimuli. There's no punishment at the mall. You go to the cookie store in the mall, you buying cookies. The kids ain't getting no cookies. Like, what kind of foolishness? It's just torture. And I didn't beat my children, but I did punish them. And if they did something that required punishment, oh yeah, honey, that's that child psychology. If they did something that required punishing, I'm not outside. In order to effectively punish your child, you have to be on punishment too. You have to stay home. There is no punishment at the mall, or you're out somewhere, but you don't ask for nothing. You're not getting nothing. You're on punishment. That's not effective parenting. People think it is, but it's not. And usually why it doesn't come out effective is because the parent doesn't want to sacrifice the time to be able to effectuate the lesson to the child. They're more focused on, I'm not going to deprive myself, even though they said the child is on punishment. So instead of being effective in teaching kids, listen, kids forget. That's like also being out and then saying, wait till you get home. I'm going to deal with you when we get home. You guys are at a party or you're out at some event. By the time you get home and you go to beat up the child, this child don't know what they're in trouble for. They just think you randomly attacking them. We have to change those methodology. You may have to excuse yourself and go to the bathroom and talk to your child. Now look, you see what you just did? I don't like that. Here's why. Here's what the problem is. And here is how you will be impacted. So when we get home, you are going to be on punishment and you are not going to go outside with your friends, or you're going to you're not going to have your phone for 2 weeks or whatever. You have to address it then. That way, when you get home, now it's just a follow-up. Oh, go get your cell phone and bring it in here. And also your Game Boy or whatever. Bring them in my room. But if you don't do anything, you just like, you wait till you get home. And then 5 hours later, you get home and now these kids are like, what's wrong with this crazy lady? What she hit me for? Because kids' brains do not hold on to that for that long. They don't get it. They don't make the correlational relationship between this length of time. They don't have conservation of time. So now, once they got in trouble, it's finished then. And then you go back to your party or your dinner engagement or whatever. And then hours later, you on their case. It looks bizarre. So you have to deal with them at the time. If you don't deal with them at the time, and I would say it's an effective way to deal with your relationship too. Maybe sometimes you're outside and you can't talk and you don't want to put your business or whatever in the street. And so, but I will take a beat and say, could you come with me for a second? Come with me to the restroom or whatever. I'm going to step away and I'm going to say, all right, we're out in the public. I'm not going to address this now, but we definitely have something we need to talk about when we get home. Like, this is inappropriate. And I just need you to know I'm not pleased. And then you go back and when you get back around the crowd, you're just back to normal. You're not putting your business in the street. You're not giving your partner dirty looks across the room. You just chill. But you stuck a pin and you said, we have something to revisit later. Because men, although they're not children, they don't hold on to things like we do. We are emotional creatures and beings, and we are thinkers. They are thinkers, but from another perspective. And so when you mad with them at that time and then you let it go, and later on, now you cussing them out, it looks bizarre. And so another thing is you also have to make sure that when you are falling out, especially if you have children, you are falling out within the confine of the privacy of your room. You tell the kids, okay, y'all go get ready for bed, this, that, the other, and then you're going to walk in Go in, close your room door. You're going to turn some music on or TV up a little, and you go. I don't care if you have to go in your bathroom or the closet or whatever. You don't have that argument in front of the kids. It's not their concern or their business. And all you doing is teaching kids to take sides. And trust me, kids are some manipulative little suckers when they're ready. They will pit one parent against the other for their greater good. You, as parents, have to be a united front. You have to be a united front. And when you out of pocket and cursing your mate out in front of other people and talking reckless and telling people your business, you're creating a disharmony that you will almost never be able to repair. You will almost never be able to repair. So you got to keep it. I'm not into beating children. I do not hit children. I am vehemently against it. The world is going to tear the skin off your back. First of all, beating is a horrific thing anyway. It's post-traumatic slave syndrome. I don't believe in hitting kids. I don't think it's an effective way to espouse your point of view. You can talk to me. I think you can say what you need to say to a child in a particular kind of way, and baby, they could get it. Now, I've always been argued with people tell me, oh, you don't understand. Some of these kids, you got to whip them. No, that's your excuse for wanting to dominate. See, adults feel so inadequate because if beating is the way for everything, go beat your boss when you're mad. Wait, what? That's not effective? Oh, why? You just said beating is everything. So if beating is the effective way to make someone submit to your will, go beat your boss when you're mad. Go. Go beat your friends when you're pissed off with something. No, you exhibit restraint in all those other relationships, and then you go home and you dominate the people who have no power against you. That's whackness. That is whackness. You remember all the pains. You remember all the cramps. You remember all the just everything. Why would you want to beat that person? You remember all of the labor pains. You remember them kicking and the first time you felt them kick and when you were sweaty and you're like, oh, Lord, this is, whew, and you were hungry and you had cravings. You remember you remember the feeling of someone growing in your belly. And the first time you can't make them do what you want, you're going to beat them. You're going to find the thickest leather belt in the house and be tearing flesh off it. Yo, that is very traumatic. I got beat as a kid. And I told y'all, I never felt like a child. I felt like an adult in a little body. So trust me, my personality was that of an adult in a little body. I got beat all the time. Instead of parents just listening, out of the Bible said, this is how I tell you, people are spiritual hypocrites. Because everybody claim they're Christian or Muslim or whatever your religious or spiritual affiliation is. People always claim, oh, we Baptist, we this, we that. And they don't follow nothing that the Bible says. They cherry pick the Bible. I always said if I decide to go back and get my PhD, my dissertation will be cherry picking the Bible. I went to theology school. My dissertation will be on cherry picking spiritual hypocrites, cherry picking the Bible. People love to cherry pick the Bible. Oh, spare the rod and sport a child. The scripture also says, thou shalt not worship graven images, but you got praying hands up there. It also says, thou shalt not defile your body. You got tattoos all over. It also says, thou shalt not bear false witness. You be lying every day. Tell the landlord I ain't here. People cherry pick the Bible. I'm tired of it. Tired. I can't stand spiritual hypocrites. People cherry pick it for whatever they want. Ephesians also says, do not provoke your child to anger. As much as it says, honor thy mother and father, it also goes on to say, do not provoke your child. Some parents be straight provoking their child. Like, let's keep it 100. They do. It's the only person you can bully without any ramifications. You get to bully this person. You get to take out all your anger. Your boss talk to you reckless. You the same one talking all this junk to your kid, but you still got to raise your hand and ask, is it all right if I go to the restroom at work? I'm 54. I ain't asking nobody, can I go to no restroom? These are human body functions that I do with God, that God imbued my body with. If I need to go to the restroom, I'm going. That's why I don't work for people. Because if I want a job and they be like, oh, we were looking for you. Where were you? Oh, were you? What did you need? I'm back now. What can I help you with? Well, where were you? Handling my business. What can I do for you? And this will be a supervisor. I'm not asking nobody, can I step away to the restroom? I'm a grown up. These are human functions. Some of y'all won't, you can't go to the bathroom without asking your boss, can you step away? But you wiling up your child, treating them like a savage. All you doing is treating them to be the spiritual hypocrites you are. That's it. You're not teaching your kid to be on their best behavior and be well. You're teaching your kid how to be a professional liar, a sneak, and all these things. And I don't care what you say. They don't do what you say. They do what you do. I know it for a fact. I've seen it. Kids do not do what you say. They do what you do. Mm-hmm. We got to be better as people. We have to the same acceptable standards that we want for our lives. We have to be able to espouse that and demonstrate that for our kids and not betray the people who grew within the confines of our bodies by beating them to get them to submit to our will. If you have to beat a child to make them submit to your will, you are telling that child, I feel so powerless. I can't speak to you and make you do what I need you to do. Why? How did you get so powerless in your life as an adult? How? Why do you feel so powerless? Because that's not an external thing, that's an internal thing. That's how you feel about yourself. Hmm. That's right. You beat them, and then when they're walking around holding their arm close to them, and you like, and I can at least speak for Black households. What's wrong with your arm? Ain't nothing wrong with your arm. Because now you feel guilty. You know that belt buckle hit that child. You feel guilty. So what's the first thing you do? Instead of saying, I'm sorry, you grab that arm and pull it because you got to prove to yourself and them they fake it. Or it ain't that bad. And then the child recoils and falls down. Oh, my arm. And now you like, it hurts me more. It hurt me more than it hurt you. That's a lie. That's a lie from the pits of hell. It don't hurt you more than it hurt them. Honey. It don't hurt you more than it hurt them. It hurts you to have to acknowledge that when you're sitting with you're quiet after you done beat the dog snot out of that child, that God is talking to you and saying, now, what is that? That's where that statement, it hurts me more than it hurts you, come from. You got to convince, you're trying to finesse God. You can't finesse God. I keep telling y'all, you cannot finesse God. When we going to stop beating our children? Well, not we. I'm going to say y'all, because I don't beat children. Listen, I remember one day I was upset about something, and then Nirvana did something, and I was upset, and I was like, I'm gonna whip you. She gonna look at me and start laughing and go, that's not even convincing, please. You don't hit kids, and walk away. I was like, well, excuse me? I couldn't even pull it off. She was like, beating, please. Like, child, you wouldn't even know what to do. I wouldn't. I love my children too much. I wouldn't dare strike their flesh. I love them too much. I love them. Do you know how remarkable? Let me tell you something. And I'm of course, I'm a parent. I'm biased. And my kids are not by any means perfect. But I'm going to tell you something. Do you know how remarkable it is to raise a human being that has never been beaten? It is a special, unique personality. My sons look big, solid, husky, and will defend their family tooth and nail, but they didn't grow up being beat. People are always like, your sons are gentle giants. Oh my God. Now, they ain't no punks, but you best believe they have a level headedness. My son has employees, and let's say he got a single mama who's struggling employee, and let's say, the colonizers who are higher up in the company might try to, oh, well, no, well, she needs to get fired because of such and such. My son is like, no, I won't. I will not fire her. You don't understand the complications of her life. If I have to, I'll put her on a step, this and that, and we'll redirect her. I'm not firing her because he understands from a perspective. He got a mama that he watched struggle sometimes and go through all types of things. He like, I'm not doing that to that single mother. This is going to ruin her. No, not going to do it. And they be like, you're always trying to. He's like, you don't understand the complexities of their existence. Sometimes you want people to work overtime. You don't know that the bus stop and she can't get home. So if he asks somebody to work overtime and he knows they're a single mom and they have to call their sister, be like, go pick up my son and keep him for a while. I got to work overtime. My son will send that employee home in an Uber. That's just how he is. My kids are great men, and my daughter, they're great people. I remember I bought my son a Dodge Challenger when he was 17. That was his graduation gift. Dope, brand new. He was one of the first people out here in the streets with a Dodge Challenger. There was one other adult that had a Dodge Challenger. I bought my son that Dodge Challenger with a Hemi engine, no less. And I had bought him a Maxima. And I had a plate uncle, and my son used to go help out at his body shop. And so they had helped my son rewire his ignition, and they gave him a push to start in his Maxima. And you couldn't tell him nothing. He was a teenager with a push to start Maxima. So child, they retrofitted it for him and everything. So he was hype already anyway. And I bought the Maxima for him when he was like 15. And so once he got this Dodge Challenger, the Maxima had just been sitting around. And there was a young lady that worked in my beauty salon, Keisha. I love her, like cook food to this day. Her children are my nieces, and I love her. And I was just like, I don't ever want to strip anybody of their dignity and make them feel like I see them as a charity case. I never want to do that, but I always want to help. And she was going through a situation where her ex-husband was charging her to drive her home at night after work. Like, well, I pay child support, so you got to pay me for a taxi ride. And I just was like, this is just diabolical. And I had a lot of stylists in the shop, and I knew. You just know people. You know how you can vibe with certain people and how you interact with them. And I said, I didn't want to, just having the car sitting around was in my way, but I didn't want to strip her of her dignity. So I stand in the middle of the shop and I go, somebody give me $5 real quick. All the other stylists talk about, some haters. They work for you, but they mad. They haters. They acting like they don't hear me, turning around, doing their clients hair. I was like, Keisha said, come get it right here. It's in my apron. She had Relax on her hands. She was like, come get it out my apron real quick. Now, I didn't need the $5. I did not need I owned the salon. I didn't need the $5. I just bought my son a Dodge Challenger. But that's petty people. Let me tell you how it turned out. So I said, she said, go in my apron and get it out, Ev. I came over, I went in her apron, I took the $5 out. I had already written the title, signed the title over to her. And then when she gave it to me, I just walked over to her thing and I put it on her station and I walked away. And then one of her kids went over and looked and was like, and then tapped their mother, and she still had it, and she looked and she was like, and she looked over at me. She was like, Ab. And I was like, and she was like, so then everybody else thought, and one of her kids came over and hugged me, was like, Auntie Ab, I love you so much. Oh my God, thank you so much. Oh my God. And she was like, I can't, Ab, I can't accept that. So now all the other stylists like, oh, what happened? Now everybody want to be nosy. They come over looking, everybody, oh, she gave you a car. She gave you a car. She was like, Ab, I can't accept no gift. You can't just give me no car, Ab. No. And I was like, it's yours. She's like, I can't accept no car. You just can't give me no car free. I said, I didn't give you a free car. You just bought it for $5. And I walked away. And then I went and stuck the $5 in her child's pocket. And people in the shop was like, how you going to give her a car? How you just going to give it to her? What about me? I just asked for $5 and all of y'all screwed up your face and turned around like I was the bum of the shop. She willingly said, here, Ed, come get it out my apron. Y'all know I ain't need no $5. but your pettiness and your personal fortitude and your character finessed you out of a car. I was always giving it to Keisha anyway. And then her mom came to the store and was like, "Oh my God, Ab, thank you so much. How could you? This is so sweet. Thank you." Because I couldn't stand the sight of her ex husband. Okay, you guys were married, you had 2 children, the marriage didn't work out, you grew apart. He's charging you I mean, I don't mean little money. I mean like $25 to take her and $25 to bring her back every day. What? I just was like, this has got to stop. No. And then what I loved about Keisha the most is out of all of my stylists, she never shorted me my money. She never was late with her booth rent. And if I went away and was out of the shop, she collected the booth rent from everybody, collected all their money, or whoever was on commission. She collected the commission money, gave them their portion, and had every single dollar waiting for me when I got back. Even if I didn't even tell her where I was going. If I didn't tell her I was going away and I just came back, if I was away and she didn't see me for 2 days, she collected all the money. She got everybody booth rent. She never shorted me $1. And the only time she was late was she used to take these 5-hour energies. And I was like, you better stop drinking them things. That's not good. And she was like, oh, girl, I'm busy. I'm tired. I got mad clients to do. I'm tired. I got to drink it. And I was like, you really shouldn't be drinking those things. And one day I didn't see her come to the shop. And I was like, where's Keisha? And it just happened to be the day that I collect rent. But I called, was like, where you at? She was like, I'm in the hospital. I was like, what? What hospital? I zoomed up to that hospital. She was in the hospital. All them damn 5-hour energy. I said, because they make your body crash. Child, listen, them energy drinks are terrible. They make your body crash. And when I tell you, absolutely, integrity. When I tell you I love Keisha like cook food, you hear me? She is a phenomenal woman. And she reminded me of a younger version of me. At the time, it was just, I had 2 kids. Well, Nirvana my oldest one was out the house, and it was just the middle one and Nirvana. But she reminded me of when my 2 boys were little kids. And I just was like, she deserved it. She was and still is a great woman. And it was a lesson for everybody. It was a lesson for the other chicks in the shop. So that now if I'm in the shop and I'm like, who got $1? They all running, here, you want $1? I'm like, relax. I ain't got no more cars to give out. Relax. Yeah, she's still here with us. She's a dope. Actually, her daughter just had a baby. And, that's my grand niece now. I like good people around me. I like good people. I really do. I just like people who are. I'm sorry that you endured child abuse, Diane. I saw Kim's statement. Diane said, I am still suffering from the abuse suffered as a child, and I can't stand my parents. So let me offer you a word of advice. And first and foremost, I am so sorry. I apologize to you that whatever they were going through, they did not feel empowered and equipped to be able to. And shout out to who said it. Shout out to Kim for standing in the gap for her nerd herd family. Thank you so much, Kim. Kim said you can work through it, Dion. It just takes time and hard work. So, Dion, let me just say something to you, sis. You didn't deserve that. I'm so sorry that you had to endure that. You didn't deserve it, and it wasn't about you. You didn't do anything to deserve it. Even if you did things as a child to get in trouble, you didn't deserve the abuse. Discipline and abuse are 2 different things. Understand that. And I know you understand the difference. You didn't deserve it. What I will tell you is none of us are perfect. None of us are without flaw or blemish. We all have something we have to repent to God for. There is something that comes from God called grace and mercy that is unearned. It's unearned. You didn't earn it. God is bestowing it upon you. You are probably the recipient of grace and mercy because of a praying grandmother. You understand? Or a praying auntie or mother or whatever. However, I want you to understand that here's what I always tell people, and here's what I had to do, because my mother was particularly vicious with me. I was outspoken. Like I said, I was grown. So she didn't appreciate that. And she was replicating what was done to her. First and foremost, you don't know your parents' story. You don't know their story. I don't care if you think you know it, you don't know it. We do not know what they endured. And I'm not making any excuse for them. By no means am I making an excuse. But you only can put in what you only can get out what was put in. You understand? So if they were beating the daylights out of your parents and abusing your parents, that's all they knew how to do. And as far back as we go to further generations, closer to the plantation, post traumatic slavery syndrome, they were taught that that was the way to make a child right. Remember, you hear a lot of people say, oh, spare the rod, spoil the child, chain up a child in the ways and he won't depart from it, all that. But you know what a lot of those quotations were from? Black people, especially Southern Black people that grew up in Jim Crow South and post colonial slavery syndrome atmosphere and climate in America and the Caribbean, the Americas, were subject to the slave Bible, where every scripture that subjugated a human were put into a book. All of the rest of the books were removed from that Bible. And that is what they only thing they learned from was what's called the slave Bible. It was given to enslaved people and it was all subjugated, negative, obey your earthly masters, all that kind of stuff. So that's all they knew. They've drilled that in them. And that passed down from generation to generation. Remember, they were taught if you want to control somebody, if you want to make somebody do what you want to do, you have to beat them. A lot of people endured also, a lot of parents were SA'd, men and women. You don't know their story. Usually what I find is people that are as very abusive, people that are always think hitting is the answer to everything, are people run to what they're running from. People run to what they are running from. You don't know your mother's story or your father. They both could have been SA'd, and that is the way they tell themselves, this is how I'm going to deal with it. So here's what I need you to do. In order for you to be able to deal with yourself and get over it and maintain some semblance. Now, I'm not telling you that you have to still interact with your parents. If you have to go no contact for your mental health, then that's what you do. However, there is a level of you can comport yourself with tact and decorum with your parents by first taking the title of mom and dad off of them. And remember, just like you, just like me, just like everybody in the nerd herd, just like everybody in the world, they are a man and woman that has hopes, dreams, losses, controversy, sadness, victories, great trauma, all of that. Take the title of mom and dad off. And then they are just a man and a woman doing mean things that 9 out of 10 times were done to them. Most of them are replicating what was done to them. Now, once you take the title of mom off and think about one of the worst things that was done to you. Now, imagine your mother, take the title of mom off as a young girl, and somebody was doing that to her. And she had nobody to run to, nowhere to escape, no help. I'm not saying what they did to you was okay. It was not okay. You didn't deserve it. You didn't deserve it, but it was more about the suffering, the self-loathing, the trauma, the hate in them. And they only did what they knew how to do. Hurt people, hurt people. Thank you, Dee Dee Free. Hurt people, hurt people. I guarantee you, I don't know if you guys still speak, if you still speak to your parents, but I guarantee you, sit down one day with your mom and say, hey, mom, you never told me your story. Who hurt you as a child? You're going to get this. You're going to see. And now they're older. All of the things that they endured in life start rising to the top. That's what happens. Shout out to Locked. Shout out to Locked in the Place. All of the things, you understand? All of those things in their life now, because you're looking at life in hindsight, retrospect. It's all playing like a movie. Say to your mother one day, Mom, give us some flowers. Give us some, I don't mean figurative flowers, I mean an actual bouquet of flowers. And write her a little note. Maybe get some, we got to get back to letter writing and stuff too, because a lot of people don't write. Write, get a little stationery and write her a little note and say, I want you to know, although it hurt me so much and I endured a lot of trauma that took me a long time to overcome, and I'm still working on it in my adult life, but I want to let you know I have forgiven you, and I want to give you these flowers because I don't know your story and what you endured. And I don't think in your generation you had anybody to go to escape the trauma and abuse you endured. But I want to give you flowers and apologize to you. I want to stand in the gap, intercessory, and apologize to you for whoever abused you, that caused you to abuse me. Because what are you carrying it for? You ever heard this song? Bag lady, you gonna hurt your back, dragging all them bags like that. I guess nobody ever told you all you must hold on to is you, always you. One day, all them bags gonna get in your way. You are a bag lady. You are holding on to the bag of your mama's abuse, your father's abuse, what they did to you, how it permeates through your life, all that it stops you from. At some point, you got to say, at some point, you got to take your power back. As long as you sit there and hold that energy in here and in here, you are letting someone look at your body as a temple, as a high rise building in the most expensive street, in the most expensive zip code in the world. You are letting somebody live in the penthouse for free. That's prime real estate, girl. That real estate goes for $3,000 a square foot. You letting somebody squat up there for free. Something from the past that you can't even grab and take and get back and do something. You literally cannot reach back into the past and grab that and ball it up and throw it far away. You are letting, this is your penthouse apartment. If it's a penthouse apartment in New York, baby, that's no minimum. Fifth Avenue, $15 million. A $15 million penthouse, you got somebody squatting for free with old ramen noodle packages everywhere and dusty and dirty and stanking. For what? How are you going to use that in the future? What you going to do with them old ramen noodle packages? They take those for the light bill? Do they take them for the light bill? You ever paid your light bill with some of that animosity you holding on to? Yes, it's thedopestnerd@gmail.com. You understand? And I'm not minimizing what you endured. You hear me, Dion? By no means, Dion and everybody else in the nerd herd, by no means am I minimizing what you endured. What I'm saying is holding on to it and living right there is sticking a pin in you and stopping you from yes, honey, the ramen noodles, and not even not the Marchand ramen noodles, the Nissin, where the color look faded. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? By sitting there and there's another song that comes to mind. I know abuse is horrific and the trauma from it is horrific and detrimental, but holding on to it perpetually, there's another song that comes to mind. Shout out to Lakeisha, our prayer warrior in the house. And guys, we're going to start doing a regular thing. Lakeisha's going to let me know the day. Lakeisha's going to come on and she's going to lead it, the prayer in the morning to cover your day so you can move through your day. And then Locked is going to come on and also lead the book club. So, and then Charlotte can come on and tell me what she wants to lead, because Charlotte is there. All my mods are brilliant. We are a true nerd factory. But I know abuse is horrific and it can leave you with a lingering pain of, because here's the one thing that you want to be able to do. You want to be able to, the sign of good rearing is when your adult children want to hang out with you. If as an adult the only thing you want to do is get far from your mother and your father, that's a sign of an unhealthy relationship. And I don't think that's the way God wanted it to be. I think none of us are perfect. This is we're all trial by fire. We're all learning. We're all learning. And therapy can be, but you got to get the right therapist. Don't blanket things like get therapy is not good. If you get a therapist that is not immersed in your culture, more dangerous and traumatic than anything ever, because they don't get it. And then they say things to you that gaslight you. And you think because they're an authority figure that they know best. And meanwhile, they're telling you things that are detrimental to you and making you feel like you are minimizing things that are cultural. That I keep telling people, you cannot visit the culture and think you know everything. Certain things you have to go to culturally relevant therapists. I'm telling you, not having a culturally relevant therapist will do you more harm than good. Try this on for size. You have, let's say, a sibling that y'all got beef and y'all can't get along, and the only time you guys see each other is, Crooks Crate said I've suffered through therapy too many times too. Because your therapist might have been someone who was not culturally relevant or connected, and you're trying to explain things to them that they don't get, and they're asking you questions like, well, why do you feel like you need to such as, because we know how therapists do. Therapists don't tell you stuff. They ask you. Everything is open-ended. I'm a psych major. I know. I also went through the therapy program where I was a therapist and a counselor. I know. Everything is open-ended. So they're asking you questions that are now gaslighting you because it's their therapy is not culturally relevant to your experience and what you're suffering from. Very, very dangerous, I'm telling you. And that's why we have to, if you have good therapists, if you have young children who seem very compassionate, perhaps that's a career that you should point them to, or at least expose them to and say, hey, our society could do really well. You're a very compassionate person. I see all of your siblings and cousins come to you for advice, and people are always seeking your thoughts and seeking your information, and you give great, information and advice to people. Perhaps you should consider being a therapist. Our culture could really do well with having more therapists who can understand and relate to the culturally relevant trauma that exists. Those are the type of things we have to tell. Everybody can't be a rapper or a basketball player or a school teacher or this. There are lots of other things. We just are not, no one's ushering us into those things. If you have a teen or a young person around you, offer that as a modality of training to them. Hey, you are very, I notice how everybody comes to you, all your siblings, your cousins. I notice you're very compassionate and you always have something kind to say. That's the ways we can help our young people, because they don't have enough life experience to be savvy enough to know what they want to be when they grow up. I think to ask a 17 and 16-year-old, what do you want to be when you grow up? Who we are at 16 and 17 is not who we are as adults. Oftentimes, you can go to school, get educated in a particular field, and never work in that field, not successfully. I know a lot of people with degrees who drive Uber because they were told, because families espouse this frame of thought and put this into your mind that you got to be blah, blah, blah. Your daddy was this, and this one was an alpha, and this one was a kappa, and this one was and you just have to go in and get in where you fit in. And guess what? You end up choosing something that sounds good on paper and that the folks in them love, and you really ain't truly interested in it. Can I tell you how many a business administration ain't started a business yet? Don't run no business. It work for somebody else. You go into business administration and stuff like that. Typically, you're supposed to be wanting to be an entrepreneur so that you can administrate your own business effectively. But no, you working for somebody else. We have to start helping our young people find careers and explore things that will be of benefit to themselves, that are more aligned with their personality and natural proclivities. And that's important. It's very, very important. And I'm going to break out and go do what I got to do in a little while. But guys, are you familiar with those of you? And I'm going to come back later and have a talk about this. I'm going to have a show producer create a thumbnail for this. Are you guys aware of what Hillman Talk is? Put a 1 in the chat if you're familiar with Hillman Talk. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't have no idea what I'm talking about. And yes, thank you. Who said that? Thank you, Allison. Let's get the likes up. Everybody throw a like up so the algorithm knows that we're doing something too. Doing something well. Nobody knows what Hillman Talk is? Oh, Lord. Really? I'm astounded. Thank you, Tia. I appreciate it, my love. How's your mom? Nobody knows what Hillman Talk is? Well, then we absolutely have to, as soon as I get back in with Nirvana, we will be talking about Hillman Talk. I'll give you a little outline and parameter of what it is. So Hillman Talk is, on TikTok, they have a variety of different TikToks. You can find in every corner of the internet, you can find a group of people who collect and gather and are focused in a particular area. There's conspiracy talk for people who are conspiracy theorists and have that, all that. So Hillman, y'all know what Hillman is, AKA Denise, Different World. Hillman was a fictional HBCU created by Bill Cosby. Well, Dr. Huxtable, Bill Cosby, and Claire Huxtable, Felicia Rashad, both were students at Hillman University. And it is a fictional college in the, I believe, DMV area, Washington, DMV, Baltimore kind of area. And it was an HBCU that fostered brilliance and excellence in young Black people. It came out, late 80s, early 90s, and it actually caused a bunch of young Black people, my generation of people, to attend college. Black people who previously felt like they were not able to go to college, they didn't fit into college, they didn't think college was for them, they didn't think they could afford it. A different world opened them up to this whole world that college is for you too, boo. And people that look like you, sound like you, experience life like you, grew up like you, all are in college. And it created a wave like Bill Cosby. I don't care what people say. I don't care what he did. And I have thoughts on that too. And I'm not excusing him, not in any way. Not in any way. Don't confuse the two. But what he did was educate legions of Black young people. They went to college because of Bill Cosby and because of the Cosby Show and A Different World. So Hillman Talk was because all of these corporate entities, the government, all these agencies are coming against Black people, Black education, programming, African American studies. You have all of these Republicans, all of these colonizers, all of these racists. And let's make it clear here, because I realize some people don't understand. White and colonizer are not synonymous, just like Nooka and Black people are not synonymous. They different things. Every white person is not a colonizer, but most colonizers are white. But every white person is not a colonizer. Okay, let's get that straight, because I know there's some people in their feelings that seem to think that I'm, get it together. Hillman, because all of these people ended the DEI programs and are trying to push out, and they use this term woke to mean Black. That is just freaking internet speak and, colonizer speak to say Black. They want to eliminate African American studies. They got rid of affirmative action, which just DEI, affirmative action, all of these things just mean leveling the playing field. It means for centuries, all of these government entities, college entities, you know, corporate entities had the advantage where white men or white people got advantage and everybody else was down here. And so I know affirmative action inside out because my mother was an affirmative action. She was the deputy director for affirmative action for all of the New York State OMRDD facilities, upstate and downstate. Affirmative action, I cut my teeth on that. I was raised on affirmative action. And all it said was, there are other qualified individuals in the world other than white men, and they should be given an opportunity as well. And so this was instituted because the government set out to effectively disqualify Black people, women, people with disabilities, or whatever, others out of mainstream society. And so these programs are created to level the playing field and give everybody the opportunity. DEI ain't nothing but the new name for affirmative action. It is diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is saying everybody doesn't have to be a white man. There are other qualified people in the landscape, and all of these people have the right to have an opportunity at education, at business, at government, hiring, at everything. But they want to end anything that allows Black people and others to be a part of the equation. So some professors, and I don't care if you know or not, I'm telling you now, Black women are the most educated and degreed people in the world. There are studies done on it. Go fight your mama. I ain't got time to argue. I'm telling you what it is. Nobody in the world has more college degrees than Black women. That is a proven fact. Go do your research. Use the Google. Now, some professors, there was a professor. She teaches a class, African American Studies class, and she has 30-something students in her class, and she holds her class online as well. Like she does it on TikTok or whatever. So her students, because she understands, she's wise enough to know that students learn a different way now. Not back in the days where we were sitting there writing 50 million things. They learn a different way. There's young people that never pick up a pen, ain't wrote nothing in 20 years. So she had her class online, and a lot of people were picking up on it. And when this upsurge of anti-DEI movement started, people were feeling triggered. Like, what about us? We have the right to learn our stuff. They're getting rid of all of Black books in schools. They're burning them. In Florida, you can't find a book that tells anything about Black history, enslaved people, Black anything, especially Black excellence. You won't find it in schools in Florida. Nothing. I'm talking about in a school library. So this professor, this PhD professor, and a couple other professors decided they would start African American Studies online. And so there's a whole thing called Hillman Talk. Now, it is a digital HBCU. If you don't know what HBCU means, historically Black universities and colleges. Because mainstream PWIs, predominantly white institutions, never wanted us to be a part of it. They did everything to disqualify Black people or to not accept them. And so Black people created their own learning institutions, HBCUs, historically Black universities and colleges and universities. Hillman Talk is a digital HBCU where a bunch of professors, there are like 60-something PhD level professors teaching classes about African American studies, all types of different things related to African American studies, and it is phenomenal. It grew. They got merch, they got all types of stuff. It is a whole thing. They hold classes, like there's reading materials. You got to get reading materials. It is super dope. What happened was a lot of white women who don't understand boundaries oftentimes, the Trumpettes that voted for Trump and can't stand to see us have anything or do anything collectively. People are in there. When I tell you the people in Hillman Talk, I'm talking they registered for classes and are taking classes. Listen here. People was taking serious classes. A bunch of white women started infiltrating the classes in there, cracking jokes, flirting with the male teachers in the middle of class. One lady was on this one popular thing that happened. One Black lady had asked the professor a question. Professor was lecturing. She asked a question. The white lady jumped in and was like, blah, blah, blah. The black lady said, excuse me, what are you doing here? And I asked the professor. She got in her feelings and went and made a big thing. Oh, why are they keeping us out? Blah, blah, blah. Listen, white sisters, our white sisters, we love you. We love you. You're part of the fam. However, there are some things that you don't get to access. And that's just it. You see all those male country clubs that have existed forever and a day, and they're still all male? How come y'all ain't bum rushing in there? You gotta be able to understand boundaries and allow people to create a thing, have their thing that you don't have to censor yourself or be a part of. That if you were not invited in and this is not your thing, and then so they started doing this whole thing where like, well, we want to understand you guys, and the black ladies were like, no, not true. When George Floyd happened, we started putting out educational materials, and this is how you understand our plight, and this is how, and they put all of that out, and you guys didn't want to understand or learn. You didn't take advantage of it. Now that you see us have a whole structured thing, you want to bum rush in. So guess what one white lady does because she's mad that she can't get in? She tries to friggin' trademark Hillman Talk. Why? It don't even involve you. What are you doing? But pure colonizer antics. And it's not okay. It is a violation of the organization that these black women put together. And it was a bunch of black educated 60-something PhD level professors teaching classes online for the free 99, no manyan, to other black people who want the information. You don't get to bum rush and center yourself. Black people in there learning, the white ladies in there clowning, carrying on, making jokes, all that. And the sisters got upset and brothers and was like, look, you're not wanted here. This is not your space. Remove yourself. Well, it's turned into this whole massive craziness now. I'm surprised y'all don't know what Hillman Talk is. Like, I tried to register for Hillman Talk, and baby, it was like the spring cohort of Hillman Talk is closed. Please try to make yourself, please stay in the student union and this, that, the other, so you can be ready for the openings of summer Hillman Talk. Like, the classes is packed up. I'm talking millions of people following Hillman Talk. Why is my nerd crew unaware? But that's why I'm here to tell you. So either way, it is a conglomeration. It is an online HBCU for the freezy. Now they have merch. You can buy merch, just like, and they actually got some of the merch ideas of stuff that I was doing here. But I'm not mad because they doing their thing. I'm gonna get me a Hillman Talk shirt too. But it's a space for us, by us. It's a FUBU. It's a digital FUBU for us, by us, to be able to go ahead and have our subject matter courses that relate to us, that we're interested in, that society is saying they're not interested in and they don't want no parts of, and are banning in the school system. So we're doing our own thing, as we've always done. I think those of you who need to know more about, Black history, African American studies, all of that, and all the classes, they have a whole lot of offerings. I mean, it's so dope. Try to get into a summer cohort, or try to get into the fall or whatever. It is packed. Hillman Talk is that ish. And this is not about rejecting anyone. This is about including us being rejected from the dominant culture or the dominant society at large. So understand, guys, look up Hillman Talk, do your research. I will have some information and videos and all that for you today. And we'll look at a whole bunch of different, and then us, we clown on anything that becomes a thing. But yeah, it's for Black people. You could be from the Caribbean, Africa anyway. It's just for Black people. It's just because we are being excluded from dominant society and all of our educational programs and everything. And they want to make sure that we are afforded the spaces to be able to discuss things that are culturally relevant to us. So not just African American. Excuse me. And we are entitled to have something that is inclusive to us. What I know is in a dominant society, a lot of people do not want us to have anything that is ours if they are not centered in it, and that's dangerous. And it's and I thought it important, and I think it important for us to have this discussion, because we're not trying to exclude. If you want to be an ally, you can be an ally in other ways, but there are some spaces that just don't include other people, and that's just what it is. It is not about being anti anybody, it is being pro black, because we are being excluded from everything. Like look at what's her name, Tabitha Brown. She had um her line, and her and other black, the reason that they have to make a thing, black businesses, they have to make a special, designation for it, is because they shouldn't have to make a special designation. We should be integrated into mainstream society. But because on so many occasions we're not, they have to designate special designations for it. And that's how this whole, Target is reeling back their DEI and everything is anti-DEI, and all the black businesses are losing money at Target and all that now, because there's, whenever they're given the opportunity to exert their dominance, we got to kick rocks. They just like, we're not interested in y'all, kick rocks. And so we're not anti anybody, we are pro black. And there is a lot of education that has been minimized, taken away from us, or obliterated, so black people are not as well versed. And for the diasporic black family, they are having the ability to come together and learn the experience, because America is very slick with telling us everywhere around the world hates us and we're the best at everything. We call it the World Series, the this, we think we're the best at everything. And what happens is they kept us separate from all these other black people of all these other diasporas, like we're not one. In fact, when Africans come to America, a lot of people say, Africans think they're better than black Americans. Well, that's because when they pass through customs and they come to America, customs officers tell them, stay away from those black Americans. They trouble. That's what they tell them. They say it to Caribbean people and other black people in the diaspora. So when they come here, they're thinking, why would these people lie to me? They must be telling me something for my own good. And then they come here and they stay away. But that's what this whole Hillman Talk is. It is the unification of the black people in the diaspora that are coming together to learn. We are stronger together than we are. They're like you said, dishing with the D, they're trying to erase our history. And this is us honoring our legacies and our stories and our history, and being able to bring it collectively together in one place, in one space where we can all interact with each other all around the world. Baby, can I tell you that? And like I said, colonizers and whites are not synonymous. They're not mutually exclusive. All white people are not colonizers. There are phenomenal white people. We got phenomenal white sisters and brothers up in here. However, almost all colonizers are white. Now, there are other colonizers, honey, because sometimes, the Asians, they want to colonize on us too, big time. But this is just our thing. And it's okay for us to have things that are our things, especially if you're telling us over here, we don't want you. Don't get mad when we go over here and we having a cookout and the chicken is all seasoned good and everybody's having a good time. Don't be mad. So, it is what it is. And I want y'all to be educated on Hillman Talk. I think it's a phenomenal thing. And what made it become this big thing is because this white woman decided, I'm going to trademark it and I'm going to own Hillman Talk. How dare you? How dare you? The need that it exists is because y'all want to push us out of society. Every chance you get, you choose racism. Every chance you get, you choose divide and conquer. Every chance you get, the dominant society chooses, we don't want the DEI. We don't want affirmative action. We don't want the blacks. We don't want the this. We don't want the that. It's not fair. It's not fair. And so we decided, okay, y'all don't want us? No problem. And we just skedaddled all across the field and went and did our own thing. And now they're trying to dismantle that too. And I have a problem with it. So I just wanted you to be aware of it. There are classes you guys can take for the enrichment of your own personal knowledge, of yourself, of your culture, for people from, let's say, people from the Caribbean that are not well-versed on African-American history. Because listen, African-American history is culturally relevant and you need to understand it. It's why a lot of blacks in the diaspora have cantankerous interactions, because they don't respect the sacrifice of Black Americans. Black Americans and their struggle paved the road for all other people to come and be able to exist and have freedoms in this country. Our country might be falling apart now, but it still was the beacon in the world that everybody wanted to say, I went to America. So all of the rights and your ability to come here in and of itself was paved with the blood, sweat, and tears of Black Americans. And it has to be respected. It just has to. And so I want everybody who is Black to be able to come and participate and be a part of. Yes, you're talking about Rachel Dolezal Mokabi. You're talking about Rachel Dolezal, who said she is trans Black and that she identified with Blackness. Now, here's the thing. What she was doing was controversial because while she may have felt like she identified, and they call that blackfishing. That's when you tan your skin and you do all these cultural things to appear as though you're Black when you're not. Had she just been someone who was like, listen, I grew up around Black people, I'm interacting with Black people, and we don't want to call her crazy. We don't want to call her crazy because here's the thing. Something inside of her made her see that acceptance and love and value in the Black culture. And that's who we are as Black people. We loving, we're accepting, we are inclusive, but other people are not that way to us. And so she decided to take on this persona and live this life. But what happened was, in her early years, she also sued the schools saying, oh, you're giving rights to the Black people that we don't got, on some Karen-ish. And so that's what did her in. You can't have it both ways. You can't be like, I'm Black over here, and then in your past, you was hating Black people suing institutions because, oh, that's not fair. Why are you giving them? That's what did her in. She was insincere. She was just colonizing the culture. We call that Columbusing. I don't know if that's a term y'all are familiar with, but it's a thing. It's called Columbusing. It's when something already exists, created by typically Black people, a Black society, Black culture, Black things, Black events, Black whatever. And then a white person comes along and says, oh, I discovered this. This is mine now. Clink, and they place their flag. We call that Columbusing. How can you discover something that already exists? It exists. But like Columbus, you came and you Columbused over here because this was already a land that had Black and brown people, Native Americans, and well, they call them Native Americans, but indigenous people, and the indigenous people were also Black. In fact, my maiden name, Griffin, a Griffin means Black and what is considered Native American. And that's what my family is on my father's side. My grandmother on my father's side, completely Black and Native American. That's what she is. I mean, sometimes I look in the mirror and I see her. My physical makeup is her physical embodiment. I have her physical makeup. When I look in the mirror, I can see her. And one day I looked in the mirror and I could see an old Black Native American person looking back at me. It wasn't me. It was an ancestor. And I was like, whoa. Yeah. And so we have to acknowledge that the rights that we have, anybody in this country, and I'm talking whites included, the civil rights that exist in your life, especially if you're in America, are as a result of Black Americans. The blood, sweat, and tears that formerly enslaved people and their descendants carved out so that you could have. And anyone who has a problem with that, go fight your mama. I ain't here to argue. I'm telling you what I know. And I can cite my sources. Go look it up. We need to understand each other's differences. We need to understand each other's, we need to understand these stories and these histories in order for us to get to a healthy operating place, a true plateau. The reason that there's so much contention in the world is because people do not want to understand other people's story. And our story is so relevant. Civil rights, the fact that civil rights exist, people think civil rights is just, oh, civil rights of Black people. No, civil rights is your rights in America. Civil rights is paid for with the blood, sweat, and tears of Black people, and everybody gets to enjoy them. Everybody. The reason that all these other nationalities live comfortably is because of civil rights. And in civil rights, when we fought for rights, we didn't just say we're fighting for rights for Black people. They fought for everyone. That's why civil rights encompasses Black, white women, because they were oppressed by white men as well. They got rights on the backs of Black Americans. You have to acknowledge that. It has to be acknowledged. Do you know in 1970, a woman could not own her own home? Even if it was her own money, her husband's name had to be on the house as well, because a woman was not allowed. In 1970, the year I was born, a woman could not own her own property. A man's name had to be on it as well, either her husband or her father or her brother. That's the patriarchy. Why are you mad at us? Black people laid their lives down, and the soil and the grass and the trees and the plants are fertilized with Black blood so that you could have your own house. I know, I got my own house with my name on it. Nobody else. I have to pay homage. I have to pay homage to the people whose blood, sweat, and tears made that possible. Or a credit card. That's right, Kim. You couldn't have nothing as a white woman or anybody else. Black man, Black woman, white woman, nobody else. Only a white man could own property. And then in 1970, when a white woman was able to, and a Black woman and other people to buy, a man's name had to be on it. Okay? Even if you were the breadwinner, the 70s, 54 years ago. Now how old this country is? It's sick. So while everybody's out here being mad at DEI and Black women and Black people, go be mad at your daddy. Go be mad at all the white guys. They created this system. Why are y'all punishing Black people? They created this system. People take out all of their venom and their vitriol on Black people who made it so that you could be a part of have a seat at the table. I have ancestors whose blood fertilized the trees that are growing tall because they were beat so bloody, their blood seeped them to the ground and fertilized the tree. You got to give props for that and respect. And when a Black person says, this is a boundary line you're not allowed to cross, this is our thing, respect that. What's the problem? Respect it. Oh, wow. Tia, shout out to you. That's dope. Tia said, my dad was MLK's bodyguard and went to Frankfort, Kentucky to sign to get the right to vote for Blacks and women. That's so dope. Kim said, take it out on the white street guys. That's right. Listen, this is what it is. This is not hyperbole. This is not slick talk. This is not shade. This is straight talk. We're adults. We can have straight talk. So when I come back, I'm going to have Trusty Dusty show producer make a thumbnail, and we're going to talk about Hillman Talk and all of the beautiful things that it is going to produce. All right, guys. So I will be back soon. And I thank y'all for sitting with me so that I didn't have to sit here and feel all in my head about my safety and all of that. But I shall return shortly. You guys gather and do your research on Hillman Talk. So when I come back, I'm going to bring people up on the screen. I want to hear your feedback and what you think about it. Mods included. So y'all be ready. Don't put your little on. But I want you guys to come on camera so that you can talk to people. I'll see you guys soon. God willing, I'll see you soon.